Hi there, Benga Delakun here, and in this module, we will be talking about page setup in CorelDRAW. We'll talk about sizes, units, and bleeds. I'll also talk about the difference between artboards and pages. Artboards may be a common term you hear. It's used by users of Adobe Illustrator and maybe other vector graphic editing tools. So I'll explain artboards and pages in this tutorial. So stick with me as I take you through that right now. Alright, so we are here in the magical world of CorelDRAW, and here is the welcome screen of CorelDRAW. Now, as you can see, this is the welcome screen of CorelDRAW. So I can either press this button to create a new document, or I press this plus button here on the tabs section of the user interface. So it's going to take me to this dialog box. So since we are talking about pages, size, units, and bleeds in this tutorial, this dialog box is very important for you. So it's in this dialog box you are going to choose the page size on CorelDRAW. So presently it's on A4 size. Although it's choosing custom here, but that's A4 size. So you can scroll through the list here. A4 is 210mm by 297mm rather. So as you can see it here, that's the size. Now this is the title of your document. This is the number of pages you want your document to add, but we'll talk about that later. So do you want it to have a single page preview, or it should have a multiple page preview? Just stick with me. I'll take it step by step. Here is the color mode, CMYK or RGB. So we've chosen A4. Now we can change the orientation either to portrait or to landscape, and the resolution is 300 dpi. So let's open up this layout dialog box. So here we see it again, paper type A4. So you can scroll through all of this and you see different canvas sizes that you can choose from, both web and print. So you can always filter the pages that would be displayed here. So right now we can see all page sizes. So it's putting different page sizes for us, but we can also choose custom. We can choose print. So this will bring us all the print sizes, and we can choose web. It's going to bring us different web sizes, but I'll leave you to explore all of that. So to keep things simple, we will just choose the default A4 size. Now you can also apply a bleed here, which I'm going to explain still in this video, but follow through as I explain it. So I'll just click on OK so that it creates the A4 size for us. So this is a portrait A4 sized document on CorelDRAW. Now, the first thing I want you to realize is that you can change it from portrait to landscape from this place. Now, this is also the pages tab. So I can create another page and another. So we have 3 different pages here in our canvas. So right now we are only previewing this in a single page view. So something very critical I want you to know about CorelDRAW is that we can come to the Dockers panel here and click on the pages panel. Now if you don't have pages displayed here, you can just click this plus button and it will give you a list of Dockers that you can open up. So just look for pages and ensure it is checkmarked. Alright, so this Docker is a pretty important Docker in CorelDRAW. Follow me and pay attention to why. So first of all, let's say I create something here with a red color, right? So page 1 is red. Let me move to page 2. So I'm going to create something with a yellow color on page 2, right? And I move to page 3. I'll create a box. By the way, I'm just double tapping the rectangle tool, so it's going to create a rectangle around my canvas. So I create this with green color. All right. So, but note, I'm only seeing page 3 alone. So I can make us have a multiple page view. Let me do that. On the pages Docker, just click multi-page view. So it's going to show all the 3 pages at once. And I believe this is how Illustrator works. This is how the artboard works. So on the artboard, you can create a new artboard and all of that. So you can also rename it and all of that there. But this is how to make CorelDRAW view like an artboard. So let's say I right click, I can rename the page to hello, right? I can rename this other guy to hi, and I can rename the last one to great. I'm just picking random names anyway. So this is how to make CorelDRAW work like an artboard. The pages on CorelDRAW to work like an artboard. Now you can reduce the sizes in between all the pages. So you just come here and you reduce the spacing. Now it's note that is in millimeters. The spacing is measured in millimeters, right? As you can see there. So you can just reduce it like so. All right, so let's say I had another page. Let me add that. This, mind you, you can add another page from here also. So we have 4 pages, and let's say I add another to make it 5 pages. So notice something. It shows 4 pages here. Then when it comes to the 5th page, it moves it down. So you can change that setting. You just come here. How many columns do you want? You can increase it to 5. So it shows only 5 columns. Or you can reduce it to 3. So when it gets to 3, it moves the other pages below. So that's how that works. You can also play around other options here. You can make everything vertical. You can make it like this. You can make it all horizontal, or you can make it freeform. Do you see that? So this is how to play with the pages. But anyway, let me just choose this particular one here, and let's stick to maybe 3 or 4 columns is fine. So I hope you understand how pages works in CorelDRAW. So to keep things simple, I can change it back to single page view, right? And I go to page 1. Note I can navigate the pages here also, or I can use the Dockers panel to navigate the pages. Alright, so there's something important I also want to talk about on pages. So I think we have 5 pages here, like we already explored. Now there's something you need to pay attention to. So look at these 2 things here, right? So let's look at what it says. This one says all pages, apply the page size to all pages in the document. And this one says apply the page size to the current page only. So what does this mean? Now look at all the pages now. They are all A4 size. Do you see that? All of them are A4. What if I want page 1 to be another size and page 2 another size? Okay, so let's say for example I want page 1 to be A5, right? So I'll delete this. This is A5. This is A4, right? So page 1 is now A5. Page 2 is now A4. So I'm still going to double click here and give it a red color. So notice something. If I choose this option, let me do something. Let me go to multi-page view. So that will make you understand it better. So if I choose this option, you can see it. It has different sizes of graph, but this one has the same. So this option means all pages should have the same size, and this option means the pages should have different sizes. That means it should give me the flexibility of making my pages different sizes and not all pages the same. So let me put it to action so that you will get it. So let's say I change this to this option, right? It's going to make all my pages same size. Look at this now. So it's on this option, right? So let's say I double click here and I give it the same red color. Do you see? Whatever pages I make now is going to ensure all of them are the same. But if I click out and I come to this option, it's going to make me able to change the size of my page. So this is A4. I can change it to let me change it to another size. Let's say A6 page 2, A5 page 3, A4. So let's come back to page 1. Let me change it to something bigger. Let's say C4. All right, so this option allows me, note it again, this is very extremely important, this option allows me to make all my pages different sizes. Why this option allows all the pages should be just one size. So if you want your artboard to be different, this is the option you should go for. But if you want your artboards or pages to be the same, go for this option. Alright, that said, hope it's clear. Alright, so let's move on to units. So look here, you will see the units. Now this is extremely important when designing. So the units we are using here is millimeters. Now remember it's A4 size, you can always change the size here. Do you understand? So it's in millimeters. Now if I want to convert from 210 millimeters to inches, I just click inches and it converts it for me. If I want it to be in centimeters, I just come here and I change it to centimeters. Do you see that? And if I want it to be in meters, you guessed right, I just come here and I change it to meters, and like so. So those are the units, but A4 is popularly measured in millimeters, so let's just leave it as millimeters. All right, so we've looked at pages, we've looked at units and the sizes. Now mind you, look here, this is the width versus the height. So the width of A4 is 210 millimeters versus the height 297 millimeters. So I can always change my dimension from here. Maybe I have a custom dimension. Maybe it's 300 millimeters. I can hit 300 here and I can change it to 600 millimeters. You guessed it. So this is how you change the dimension and the size of your canvas on CorelDRAW. It's easy and simple and straightforward. So I can make it a square dimension by making it 300 by 300. Like so. So that's how it works here. Now let's talk about bleeds quickly. Okay, so in order to explain bleeds, so let me start from the beginning again. So let's say I create a new document. You know, before even creating a document, I can set my bleed. So remember I showed you this from the very beginning. So let's say my document is A4. I can give it a bleed of, let's say, 5 millimeters. Remember that the unit is millimeters from here. This is the unit here. Do you understand? So I can change it to inches. So it will convert that to inches for me. I can change it to pixel. It's going to convert that to pixel for me. So let's just stick to millimeters that A4 is known for. So I can give it a bleed of 5 millimeters, and if I click OK, it's going to give me a bleed of 5 millimeters around the document. So 5 millimeters here, 5 millimeters here around the document. So this is just going to be a guide for me. So I'm going back to my welcome screen and I'm going to open one of the already made designs. So what is bleeds? Interestingly, when I started learning about design, I just used to hear the word bleeds. I never understood what it means, and there's little to no information about bleeds online, but today I'm going to be explaining it in details. Bleeds is a term that is used in the printing industry. And what exactly does it mean? Okay, so I'm going to make a quick demonstration so that you can have clarity about it. All right. So let's say this is my design here, right? I have this particular design and I want to print it. So I'm just going to do something right now. Just watch. All right. So I'm just going to make a simple cropping mark right now. So I'm going to take my ruler, or my guideline rather. So I bring this fellow here. Okay, let me turn my snap to guideline on. All right, so let's assume this is my cutting lines. So I'm just going to make the line on all edges. right? All right, so what am I doing? I'm just making a cutting line on the edges of this design. And this is how bleeds are made actually. Just pay attention to what I'm doing. So, awesome. Now, so I'm going to do something. Take a look at it. So, say this is my design. I'm going to press F9 on my keyboard. All right. So, this is our design, right? And I've drawn some cutting lines. What are you may look? What is this? These are cutting lines. So there's a cutting machine and it's going to cut with these lines here, right? It's going to cut here. So it's going to cut horizontally and vertically, right? Horizontally and vertically. That's how the cutting machine works. Now, when you cut this design out, something interesting happens. Sometimes it doesn't cut accurately and there's a little white spacing on the edges, and that is not proper. That is not good for your design to have white edges. Your design shouldn't have white edges on any edge. It should have this same color here on all the edges. So what a bleed does is that it's going to extend your design by some inches or millimeter or whatever unit you are using to design. It's going to extend it out a little bit. So let's say, for example, I want to extend this. Okay, what unit is this? This is pixels. So let's say I want to use millimeters. I'm changing the unit to millimeters. So as you can see, this canvas is 279.4 millimeters by 215.9 millimeters. So let's say I want to add 4 millimeters to it. So I'm just going to add 4 millimeters to that. All right, so adding 4 millimeters will be 283.4 millimeters for here. I just go ahead and do that. But hold on, let me first change the canvas. 283. All right, or maybe even more. Let me make it 290. So I'm going to make this one 225. Right, so notice something. You can see that the canvas stretches a little bit more than the design. So this is the design right now. So what I'm going to do here to make a bleed is I'm going to just expand it, right? I'm going to expand it to the edges of the canvas. So right now, the cutting lines go into the design, but before it was on the edge. So right now, if the cutting machine cuts, there would not be any white line on the width or the height of the design because we've added bleed to it. So what is a bleed? Bleed is simply ensuring your design is extended out on every edge so that when you cut, there is no white line outside your design. That's what a bleed is. Simple as ABC, right? All right, so if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me and I will clarify. But I believe this tutorial is as clear as the air. So thank you for watching. From this tutorial, we've been able to learn about pages on CorelDRAW. We've been able to learn how to make your pages look like artboards on CorelDRAW. We've also talked about sizes, we've talked about units, and we've talked about bleeds finally. So my name remains Gbenga Adelakun. It's bye from this side. Bye bye.